Hey there, fellow preppers. It's your girl Murphy here. And let me tell you, I love a good bargain. Like, who doesn't love saving money? Especially these days, am I right? So, today we're talking about preserving food on a budget because, let's be real, those fancy canners can cost an arm and a leg, and honestly, who needs that? Not us. We're going to dive into some hilarious, yet super useful, ways to preserve your food without breaking the bank. Get ready to become a budget-savvy prepper extraordinaire. Let's get started. Okay, so maybe when you think about burying food, you think about squirrels and questionable leftovers in the park, but hear me out. Burying food is a legit way to preserve it, and it's been around for centuries. Think about it. People have been doing this since forever. It's how they survived before grocery stores and DoorDash. So how do you bury food without it turning into a science experiment gone wrong? First, you gotta pick the right spot. We're talking cool, dry, and preferably somewhere your dog doesn't like to dig. Trust me on that one. Next, you need airtight containers. We're talking Tupperware, mason jars, even those old Cool Whip containers you've got stashed in the back of your cupboard. Just make sure they're clean because, ew, nobody wants moldy food. Now, what kind of food can you bury? Root vegetables are your best bet. Think potatoes, carrots, onions, the kind of stuff that would last in a root cellar back in the day. Once you've got your spot, your containers, and your food, it's time to bury the treasure. Dig a hole deep enough so your containers are covered by at least a foot of soil. All right, sun worshippers and snack enthusiasts. This next method is about as old school as it gets. Drying. Before refrigerators and those fancy freeze dryers, people were harnessing the power of the sun to preserve their food. And you know what? It totally works. The OG method is, of course, the sun. If you've got a sunny spot and some time to spare, slice up some fruits, veggies, or even meat. Jerky, anyone? Lay them out on a clean surface and let the sun do its thing. Just make sure to bring them inside at night or if it rains, because soggy jerky is not a good look. If you're not blessed with endless sunshine or you're just impatient, no judgment here, you can also use an oven or a dehydrator. Ovens work best for smaller batches and require a bit more attention, while dehydrators are like the lazy prepper's dream. Just load them up and let them go. Drying is perfect for fruits like apples, bananas, and berries, which turn into delicious and chewy snacks. Chapter 3. Pickling. It's not just for cucumbers, but also cucumbers are amazing. Okay, let's be real. When you hear the word pickling, you probably think of those giant jars of cucumbers your grandma used to make, right? And while I fully support a good bread and butter pickle, let's expand our pickling horizons, shall we? Pickling is basically like giving your veggies a sassy, tangy makeover. It's like the food equivalent of a good hair day. It just makes everything better. Plus, it's surprisingly easy. All you need is vinegar, salt, and whatever spices you're feeling that day. Cucumbers are a classic for a reason, but don't be afraid to branch out. Carrots, onions, green beans, even cauliflower. They all make fantastic pickles. You can go sweet, spicy, garlicky, delicious. See what I did there? The possibilities are endless. The basic process is pretty simple. You mix up your brine, that's the vinegar, salt, and spice concoction. Pack your veggies into clean jars, pour that brine over them like you're giving them a pep talk, and then seal those jars up tight. Chapter 4. Fermenting. It's alive, but in a good way, I promise. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Fermenting? Isn't that like controlled rotting? And you know what? You're not totally wrong. But trust me, when it comes to food, sometimes a little bit of controlled chaos is a good thing. Fermentation is like the cool older sibling of pickling. It's been around for centuries, it's good for your gut, and it can turn ordinary vegetables into flavor bombs. Plus, it's surprisingly easy to do at home. So, what is fermentation exactly? Basically, it's a process where microorganisms, like bacteria and yeast, break down sugars in food and create lactic acid. This not only preserves the food, but also gives it that signature tangy, funky flavor that we all know and love. Now, before you run for the hills screaming bacteria, remember that not all bacteria are bad. In fact, the bacteria produced during fermentation are actually good for you. They're like little probiotics that help keep your gut happy and healthy. Sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, even sourdough bread. They're all fermented foods that have been enjoyed for centuries. Chapter 5. Freezing. The OG time machine. Sort of. Alright, let's be real. Freezing might not be the most glamorous method on this list, but it's a classic for a reason. It's like hitting the pause button on your food, preserving it in all its glory until you're ready to devour it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Freezing is easy, Elaine. I stick stuff in the freezer all the time. And you're right. It is pretty darn simple. But there are a few tricks to the trade that can help you avoid freezer burn, mushy messes, and those mystery bags in the back of your freezer that you're too scared to open. First things first, invest in some good quality freezer-safe containers or bags. We're not talking about those flimsy sandwich bags that rip as soon as you look at them. Go for the heavy-duty stuff, the kind that can withstand sub-zero temperatures and the occasional rogue ice crystal. Next, label everything. And I mean everything. Use a permanent marker and write the date and contents on every single container or bag. Trust me, your future self will thank you when you're not trying to decipher whether that frozen brick is chili or chocolate sauce. Now, let's talk about what you can freeze. Fruits and veggies are a given, but did you know you can also freeze cooked grains, beans, soups, stews, sauces, and even baked goods? Outro. Prepping on a budget? You got this. And there you have it, folks. 5 fantastic ways to preserve your food without spending a fortune on a canner. Who knew you could save money and become a prepping pro at the same time? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more hilarious and helpful tips, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a beat.